I was a clinical psychologist and I'd been practicing for many years, and I suddenly was leaving work one day and it was like something had been physically removed from my body. And with that feeling came a sense of deep emptiness and feeling like I was done with my work here on earth. It was that an intense of a feeling, and being clinically trained, I looked inside and said, "Are you depressed? Are you anxious?" No, everything in my life was going along fairly well at that period of time. So I went home pondering what this feeling of deep loss was, and as I was sitting up in bed, I suddenly saw this swirling vortex in my head. And with this swirling pattern, I suddenly felt myself sucked in to this vortex. Next thing I knew, I was horizontal, feet first, traveling at a high rate of speed, and I was in a tunnel. And I could see light at the end of this tunnel. Before I could get into the light, I was stopped in the tunnel. And I just hovered there. And no matter what I did, I couldn't go forward. I tried to make myself go forward, but all this energy just infused into me, and it permeated just every cell in my body, and it was like almost like an implosion of energy. And with that, I was spun back around and sent back through the tunnel as fast as could be, the same way, horizontal, feet first. And the next thing I knew, I was back in my physical body and my whole left side was paralyzed, and I heard voices in my head saying, "Breathe, Kathy, breathe." And so I just breathed, deeply, and I started to get feeling back in my left side of my body, and I knew whoever this voice was that was talking to me had jump-started my heart must have stopped, and they were trying to get me to breathe life back into my physical form. Well, as the feeling started to return in my left side, I felt a pressure in my chest, and I thought, oh, now I'll have to go see a cardiologist and see what that's all about. The voices pretty much said, "Don't worry, everything's going to be okay." Within 24 hours after that happened, I was obsessed with quantum physics. And I was getting up every night between 3 and 4 a.m. It was like clockwork, with all these thoughts going through my head about mathematics, about scalar waves, about quarks, things in our universe that I hadn't studied. And I knew that something was getting me up to speed in the world of science, and especially in the world of quantum science. I called a friend of mine, he's a very gifted medical intuitive, and asked him, I just want you to take a look and see what's going on with me. I had used him in the past. He didn't know what had happened to me, and he looked in, he goes, "Wow." He said, "Kathy, you almost died." He said, "But all your old guidance has left." And that was that feeling of leaving me. He says, "But you have a whole new set of guidance in there, and they're very technological. They're very almost geeky," he said. And I said, "Well, what do they want?" And he said, "Well, they're showing me that you're going to invent or some type of electronic device that will change the way people think about the concept of healing." And I said, "Well, I don't know anything about electronics or about inventing and things like that." And he goes, "Oh no, they're showing me that they will help you and lead you to the right people that will be instrumental." And I laughed. This did not fit with anything in my life that it sounded like I'd be doing. That was only the beginning. And with that started to come knowledge from this other guidance about that everything in our universe had a mathematical signature to it. Our DNA was mathematically coded. That the blueprint of creation, was mathematically coded. That even things as simple as vitamin C had a mathematical signature to it. And that all of this could be encapsulated into codes, and that the person's body, their DNA, would know how to take it and respond to it in whichever way was effective for that person, allowing the body to do what it can do naturally by giving it kind of a roadmap to that ideal self. It took 5 years to develop this, to put together all the mathematical codes that went into the 72 different programs. Trinfinity8 is the first device to use nothing but pure mathematical algorithms.